This episode of Walt Disney World Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, the official travel agency of Walt Disney World Today, and it's a travel agency that offers you one of the best services possible to help you plan your next trip to Walt Disney World, making it that much easier on you. They'll help you plan your ADRs, obviously book your hotel reservations, and help you with any and all concerns that might crop up, from where can I eat to how can I stay as far away from Mikescope as possible. They can help you with that. So why not give them a try? It's the official travel agency of Walt Disney World Today. Visit them at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, July 9th, 2008, and this is episode 433 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgeberg of StudiosCentral.com. On the show today is Mike Scopa of allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Production crew, we are here. Don't start the shoot.
Backlot Tour.
Backlot Tour.
Catastrophe Canyon, to be exact.
Yep, that's the D-list.
The D-list. No credit, Newell, when I get it right, and then slams me when I don't get it right.
No, I'm making a mental note because I had asked Annette not to say anything when I made that request last Mouse Fest, and she went ahead and blabbed.
Hey, Rumi.
Thanks, Annette.
Also on the show today is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
I thought that was my intro.
Oh, no, that was just a side. Now I'm actually introducing you.
Well, then, howdy ho, Matt.
Everyone's ditching us again. It's just us three. Enjoy. And it's Wednesday, and we're answering your listener questions. And let's start out with a question from Kristen Cola, who writes, Kristen Cola from Akron, Ohio here. Hello to Matt, Mike, Len, and the fabulous Annette Owens.
Wow.
See you, Annette.
Thank you.
I'm emailing you in response to episode 401 with Timmy. Yes, I know it aired a while ago, but what can I say? I get to my emails about as quickly as you guys do. I wanted to thank you for doing that episode. Not only was it a heartwarming episode, but it gave me something new to do in the world. I just returned from my 15th trip to the happiest place on earth, and never in my 14 previous trips did I attend the Animation Academy. After listening to the episode, I convinced my sister to go with me while we were there, and it was honestly one of the most fun experiences I've ever had there. I cannot believe I missed out on this amazing attraction in the past. Unfortunately, we saved it for the end of our trip because I wanted to go back again and again. Thank you for opening my eyes to this great and often overlooked attraction.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead, Mike.
No, it's definitely a hidden gem that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and you turned me onto it, and it's just a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Love it. Kristen also writes, just to answer a question posed in the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Journey into Imagination podcast, episode 409, my best guess in reference to how the butterfly in the cage works is that there's a mirror down the center of the cage, and the butterfly is really only half a butterfly. So half of the butterfly reflects in the mirror as a full image, and once you pass the mirror, the image is gone. Again, that's just a guess, but I think it's a pretty good one. Thanks again for your wonderful podcast. Your theme song is right in that it helps you get through the times between vacation.
That's a cool thought. I'm going to have to look at that more.
Yeah. Thank you, Kristen. Next email is from Aziz, the Disney thug Parker from Gastonia, North Carolina, a.k.a. the Gas House.
Hoorah.
I'd like to send a shout-out to my homies Len and Matt, a top of the evening to Mike and Mike, and a bonjour beau to Annette if she's on today. Annette would have been just, this is my impersonation of Annette if she was here. Oh, this is just wonderful. Ooh. And then insert giggle here. Thanks for answering my last question in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, Matt, let's see if you answer this one expeditiously. I know that's asking a lot. I'll probably receive that artificial liver I've been needing since taking Len's advice to drink around the world before you answer this question. Maybe you'll come through this time. I'm planning a trip for the week of Thanksgiving, November 22nd to November 29th of 2008, and trying to decide between a package and 3 annual passes, my wife, son, and myself. I'd be purchasing the annual passes for 2 months before my son makes 10 years old. I'm hoping to delay paying adult prices for him for about 10 months. How bad will the crowds be that time of the year? Let's start out with there. Thanksgiving, November 22nd to the 29th. Thanksgiving is one of the busiest times of the year, in fact. It's about 8 and 9s on the crowd calendar for that time of year. So it's going to get very crowded as you approach Thanksgiving, and then obviously Thanksgiving weekend is going to be very crowded, and it'll subside after Thanksgiving as you start getting past, people start going back home after that weekend. Aziz also wants to know, we usually go once a year, but would definitely go for Christmas, Food and Wine, ESPN the weekend, and more if we had annual passes. Are the annual pass room-only discounts during these times of year, especially Thanksgiving? There's usually... Yeah, Scope, I mean, generally, I think there's annual pass discounts. I mean, he mentioned some of the events. I mean, Christmas might be tough. Thanksgiving can be tough again because if they are offered, they'll be very competitive. But for other times of the year, Food and Wine is such a long duration that I'm sure you're going to get one there. ESPN The Weekend is a random weekend in February or March. I mean, no problem there. I would definitely think you'll be able to do that. And certainly, if you employ a good travel agent here, they can help you by allowing you, even if there's nothing available yet, they can put a reservation down for you. And as soon as it comes out, an annual pass discount code, they can apply it for you. That can really make a big difference for you.
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
Nice giggle.
What's that?
I think that was the Annette giggle.
Oh, that was the Annette giggle. I don't think Annette. There is no guarantee, but more often than not, there may be some days during Food and Wine that will be offered as annual pass holder discount days. But like you said, Matt, they sometimes get scooped up real quickly, and it's good to use a vacation planner to work for you, to keep an eye. They usually get an advance notice as to when these days are coming and when bookings can be made with these discounts. So, I mean, let's face it, that's their job, that's their profession, so they can do a better job than you or I.
Absolutely. Very nice. Next email is from Melanie from Tennessee. Writes, hey, Matt, Mike, Len, and hopefully a female guest. There you go. I'm an avid listener to the podcast and have successfully answered 2 of my emails, so I have high hopes for this one. My question this time around may seem a little silly, but I'm seriously curious about it. I'm a 17-year-old girl, and my family goes to Disney World about 3 times a year. I often have friends go down with me, and one of the main attractions for us is the rather attractive staff around the parks. I mean, where else can you find international boys from 11 different countries within walking distance, right, Newell?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, the serious part of my question is really coming. I know Disney is really strict on the way the cast members act. So do they have a non-flirting rule or something? I've had cast members ask for my phone number before, and all I could think of was surely Disney has a policy against that. I realize I'm asking this question to 4 relatively old men. I said relatively. So this issue probably doesn't pop up in conversation that often. But seriously, what is Disney's policy on cast members flirting with guests?
Wow.
This is it. Well, I can safely say we have never gotten this question before.
No, that's the first.
That's right.
Scopa?
I do have a friend who said to me a few years ago she was dining with her sister in Marrakesh, I believe it was, and she was propositioned by their server. Like, what are you doing? Whatever, want to go out? Oh, so I would guess, I don't know for sure, but I would guess that there is a no flirting rule. Right. But what's flirting? Yeah. Flirting to one person may not be flirting to another, so you don't know. I don't know.
I know for a fact that the reverse is guests often will ask a cast member, are you available, or are you, maybe when you get off your shift, blah blah blah. That can happen. I think like you said, Mike, I think there probably is. I'm sure if you ask Disney Human Resources, they would tell you, of course, that there's they want to be professional and that's frowned upon. But what I think is probably tends to happen, I think it does happen. Certainly, cast members may shy away from that because certainly, if they offend the guest can complain, and then they obviously get in a whole lot of trouble for that. So Melanie, I think the rule of thumb there is it might be tough for you to pick someone up, especially when they're on duty. And good luck, bro. Or
become friends with them. Ask them, for the email or whatever. I don't know. It's just be very, very discreet.
That's good advice, Mike. Next email is from Keith from Boston. Writes, Manjel, everyone. I've recently been planning several vacations for 2009, and I had a couple questions on tickets. In August 2006, my wife and I purchased 10-day park hoppers, no expiration tickets, of which we have 2 days remaining. Due to our vacation plans in 2008, we won't be able to visit Walt Disney World. But in 2009, we plan on being there at least 10 days. So I've decided to purchase an annual pass. Here's my questions. When I purchase my annual pass, does it activate when I purchase it or on the first day I use it? Ideally, I'd like to purchase my ticket before August when the ticket prices have traditionally increased.
That's easy. It's usually they send you the voucher, and the voucher is the clock does not start until the very first day you use it. Mm-hmm. So the advantage to buying it early for Keith is that he'll freeze the price. So if the price goes up while before he's used it, he's saving. I don't know if there's a time limit on the vouchers. That's always been something I've never really been able to figure out if there is a timing on the voucher. I thought that you had to use it within a year, but I'm not sure. The other thing that I was going to suggest is if he has the opportunity, I'd actually take the remaining days from that park hopper and apply it to the annual pass. I'd purchase the annual pass down there.
Yeah, that was the second question, in fact, about using his existing days on his old tickets to use his value. And you absolutely can do that. I've done that in the past with tickets I had to get back when the dining plan had no annual pass option. So I had to buy a one-day ticket rather. And it was like, the value back then was like $60-something, and I would take that and I just applied it towards the value of my annual pass. You can do that for new annual passes or renewals. But the good news is, Keith, is you can buy it today and not activate your annual pass. 365 days won't really begin until the first day that you go to the park and use it. Next question is from Anka, who writes, I was wondering if we can do a straight exchange for a table service credit to a counter service credit on the dining plan. We're not sure we want to use all the sit-down credits. I can't seem to get a straight answer. So they have a table service credit, and they want to use it at a counter service location.
Boy, I used to know the answer to that.
By something changed, Mike, that would change your previous answer?
Yeah, I thought that there was a way of exchanging some of the credits on your dining plan. They had that, I believe it was either last year or 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. There was a way of exchanging. You could exchange if you had table service credits. You could exchange them for something, but I forget what that was. I don't know if that's the same. I would recommend calling up Disney Dining and asking them what options are given guests who find themselves with extra credits, be it table service. I don't know if I'd ever end up having extra table service credits, but I think that the problem might be that they may have bought the deluxe instead of the basic dining plan. The deluxe gives you 3 table credits a day, and I don't know who can, other than you, Matt, I don't know who else can eat 3 sit-down meals a day.
Well, I was gonna do something else, Mike. A good politician always answers the question they wish they were asked, not the question that they were actually asked. And I'm going to use that line of theory here and actually answer your question by saying that perhaps the dining plan isn't the best value for you, isn't the right option for you, rather, I should say.
Right.
If you're not going to be someone who's going to be able to take advantage of the requirements, even if it's the free dining plan, maybe it's not the best option for you. Maybe there's a different venue for you to go. Maybe you should be paying cash for your meals because you'll end up coming out ahead based on the methods and means of which you eat. If you're not going to be someone who can take one table service meal a day for your family, perhaps it's not right for you. Maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And so I would recommend you actually reevaluate what you're doing, what you're getting yourself into, and maybe saying, you know what? Maybe we don't need to get the dining plan. Maybe let's try it without it, see how we do. And maybe you'll find, we probably could have done table service a day next year or next trip. We'll definitely do that. But if you're asking this question, perhaps you need to reevaluate what you're doing exactly. In my estimation, that's just my opinion. Next email is from Jessica in Coplay, Pennsylvania, who's better known as LabDogs42 on WDWToday.com. Hoorah! And she writes, I like turtles. Hi, guys. I have a question for you. Where would you recommend dining on Disney property with a party of 9 people? Grandparents, kids, and their kids, ranging in ages from 3 to 63. Our trip is in November, and since I have to make my reservations very soon, I know I'll never have the answer before I make the reservations, but I'll hear it. I'll hear if I chose wisely before I go on my trip. Thanks in advance for the info. See you at Magic Meets. I have the perfect answer.
Well, yeah, I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
You're going to say Beer Garden.
No, but that is a good option. I was going to say Tempanito. I like it better.
Oh, yeah, that's a spot. I was going to say, Matt, we could look at each park, and I really don't know if there's one in the Magic Kingdom that would be good, other than them putting tables together. No. I really don't see but we'll showcase Japan, Germany, possibly Nine Dragons. They do have long tables. I've eaten there with a large group.
We don't know.
Mr. Newell has eaten there.
But we don't know how the theming's going to be once it reopens.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and since I'm not ever going to go there, I wouldn't know.
Oh, you got to try it at least once.
I have.
No, the new.
No, he says when it reopens.
When it reopens.
Oh. I'll wait and hear your review, and if it's good, then I know that I'm not going. Let's see.
Certainly, Jessica, if you can't tell, we're trying to go towards restaurants that have large seatings at tables, like Teppanado.
Brown Derby.
Like, Brown Derby's a good example.
I would have said Ohana.
Otis Point.
Your garden.
Otis Point would work.
Ohana.
Yeah, Ohana. Good point.
Ohana would work, yeah.
Yeah, these are all restaurants, Jessica, that we, the three of us, and others, have been able to get huge parties together for. And those could, I think those are some ones that you definitely want to look at. Especially, I would earmark Teppanado, Beer Garden, and Ohana.
Trails End.
Trails End. There you go. Another good option. Next email is from Ken, who writes, I have some tips here. It's Ken from Richland, North Carolina. I don't have a question again, simply just putting forth my opinion. And anyway, I'd like to share my thoughts on bringing the under 2 crowd to the world since I've heard several comments about them on your show. So tips for touring the world with little ones. First of all, remember the trip is about them and not about you. You will enjoy Walt Disney World through their eyes. Keep their routine in terms of naps, eating, etc. Don't push on the fun meter. If you don't experience something, come back again. Take it slow. It may be hard for them to avoid the commando approach, but you'll enjoy it more. Let the kids and you enjoy the small things. And finally, keep the camera ready. You never know when a great shot will appear.
I agree with every one of those.
That's a good point. I think that's one of the reasons I'm going to put words in Scopa's mouth here. The reason why Mike doesn't like having kids in the parks is oftentimes they're the ones that are crying and not appreciating. They're ruining the experience for others. And I think if you followed Ken's tips there about making the trip about them and watching out for when they're going to hit that quote unquote wall, that could avoid that kind of a situation where it starts to ruin other guest experience.
Yeah, it's basically the parents that will make or break the vacation, and all of his points are well taken. And I agree with all of them. I just don't know if the majority of parents who are going down and especially if they're first timers, those who have been down without children and then they come back a couple of years later and they have children, they're very well prepared. But those who have never been down there, they really have nothing to compare with, what it takes to deal with a 2-year-old in a Disney theme park.
Absolutely. Next email is from Dan. Oh, wait, the other Dan. Dan from Delaware, who writes, I love this site, but this is the first time I've written. My family and I are planning a trip for September, and here's my wish list. Wanted to go see Mickey's Halloween Party, wanted free dining, wanted it to be during Magical Beginnings promotion, and wanted to see the special Playhouse Disney concert series. Well, as you know, the first 2 wishes have now come true. What we don't know is whether or not Disney will be doing the Magical Beginnings Playhouse Disney concert series promotion again this year. Have you heard any rumors about this coming back? I can tell you that the Playhouse Disney concert series is not returning this year. They, for whatever reason, opted not to do it in 2008. It was, for those of you who are unaware, it was a program where they had live concerts in Disney's Hollywood Studios from some of the famous Playhouse Disney shows like the Dan Zane Show, the Doodle Bops. They would actually perform live. I went to one actually because I wanted to see what it was all about. It was very uninteresting to me because it's not aimed at me, obviously. But the kids loved it. I mean, if you're a little tyke, it was just perfect for you. The Magical Beginnings promotion. Have you guys heard anything about that? About being brought back again or not?
I haven't heard anything. Is that starting in? Would that be starting in October?
Yeah, it's usually in the fall. Usually they'd put these in the fall because, especially like in September, when it's a slow time of the year and they obviously want to bring kids in. And obviously that time of the year, a lot of the kids that they're aimed at, the preschool, obviously it's not a big deal to bring them out of school.
If it's gonna happen, it's probably gonna be announced within the next 30 days, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going. I haven't heard anything that to lend that it's going to be brought back this year. It might be something that they might re-examine in a couple of years from now. Okay. Next email is from Bruce from Quakertown, Pennsylvania. All right, so, okay, it's now exactly 220 days until our next Disney trip, so I hope I'll be giving you enough time for this. I have 2 questions. The first, even though I know I've heard this before, we're going to be trying the world-famous Scopa Towers and would like to know the best rooms or decades to stay at. We will have a car and not use the pools a lot. What do you think, Scopa?
It's one of those politician questions again, Matt. I guess the thing is, it depends upon several things. Number one, if they want to be close to the action, that is, close to the hippy dippy pool, close to the food court, close to the front desk, then what they should be looking at is the 60s, which are preferred rooms, which are at least a $10 to $15 per night surcharge on those rooms. If you're looking for one of the things that I don't like about being in the 60s is there's a lot of noise, and you really have to walk a long way from where you're parking. I prefer the 90s and 80s. Actually, the 80s first, then the 90s, then the 70s, because it's still relatively close to the buses, to the food court, to all things pop. Mm-hmm. But what's really nice is that they're quiet buildings, and no matter what time of the night you come home, you're probably going to be able to park in the same spot every night. And I like that. The 50s I would not recommend at all, because there's always a parking issue at night. It's close to the all things pop. It's close to the middle of the resort, somewhat close to the bus stop, but there's an issue with parking at the 50s. Right. So 50s and 60s and 70s, I would say, are on the bottom of my list. 80s and 90s are on top.
Great. Bruce also wants to know, can you explain exactly how the baby swap works? We just added a new Musketeer to the family, and he'll be 1 on this first trip to the world. Insert size here. Our other daughter is 8 and loves the thrill rides. Can we all get in line, have my daughter and wife go on the ride while I wait in line and swap out the baby as I go on the ride with her? Or does it not work that way? As always, the best 20 minutes in podcasting, period. Thanks for all that you do. I will answer the child swap. Basically, I was trying to get you to go.
Thank you.
Okay. Kids, get it?
Well, basically, I said, I don't know.
Anyway, here's how the child swap works. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a page that I had written up about it that goes into detail. But here's the quick synopsis of it. Basically, you walk up to the cast member at the entrance to a line of an attraction and tell them you'd like to do a child swap. The cast member will present you with a rider switch ticket, which is for you and up to 3 other people in your party. At this point, parent A goes to ride while parent B waits with the kid. When parent A returns, parent B goes to ride while parent A watches. So this allows both parents to enjoy the attraction while the kid does not, because the kid can't. You might sometimes have to produce the body, so to speak. You might have to bring the kid there. You have to show, here's my kid, because some people, I guess there's been some abuse of the thing, but generally it's very easy to do. You can really do child swap on almost any attractions, although obviously the attractions where there's some thrills involved are the ones that tend to happen, obviously, more than others. Next email's from Jordan from St. Paul, I think Minnesota, land of Van, who writes, "Gentlemen, love the show. We're doing free dining this fall, 2008, and want to take a one-day trip to the ocean, then get back to dinner at Epcot at about 6 o'clock. We're using Magical Express and will not have a car. How would you suggest is the best way to get there, and where should we go? We've looked at picking up a car from the Dolphin for one day. Is there a better way? Any suggestions on the best or quiet beaches? Keep up the good work. Apologies to Mr. Scopa for the many times we've taken our 4 and 2-year-olds to the world."
Apology accepted.
Now aside.
To get to the beaches, you're going to have your own personal transportation. I mean, there may be a bus service, which I'm unaware of, but I don't think there is, especially coming from Walt Disney World property. The closest beach is going to be Cocoa Beach. It's about 45 minutes away or so. You need to get on 4. You go on 4 east to State Road 528, which is a toll road, and you'll take 528 all the way to the coast. Newell, you and I did this one right before our cruise in Mouse Fest 2007.
That's right.
It was about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, 528, they call it the beach line now. It used to be called the B line. Now it's called the beach line, and they'll take you right out.
Yeah, it's a good option for you there. That's the closest beach. I've heard much better things about the St. Petersburg Clearwater Beach, but that's about 90 minutes away, and that's on the opposite direction on 4. You're going to take 4 west all the way to Tampa, and you'll follow the signs for St. Petersburg, the Clearwater area. Those beaches are supposed to be very nice. It's on the Gulf. There's nothing wrong with Cocoa Beach, per se. It's the closest one. But you're going to be hard-pressed because you'd really have to bust out of your resort very early so you can make enough time and make it back for Epcot for your 6 o'clock. Obviously, when you get back, you're going to need to take a shower because you were in the ocean, more than likely. So keep that in mind. It may not be the best option if you want to be back for a 6 o'clock dinner reservation. Next email is from Brian in Alpharetta, Georgia. Right, "Hey, guys, I was just going to post this in the comments for the show notes for episode 395, attempting all 4 parks in one day, but for some reason my message was detected as spam, so I thought I would just email you instead. We apologize for that Brian, it happens, unfortunately, from time to time. Brian writes, I actually agree with Len on his original idea in the order of the parks and the beer part also. I was thinking of getting Epcot out of the way first is the way to go because attractions like Soarin', Test Track, and Mission Space can get knocked out relatively quickly first thing in the morning, but rolling into Epcot at 3 o'clock in the afternoon would be asking for trouble. Often I have seen fast passes completely gone for the day by 3 o'clock for Soarin', and the standby lines for these Epcot attractions are typically very long by this time of the day. While yes, you could be doing a great deal of waiting in Animal Kingdom, as you would be at any of the four when arriving mid-afternoon, I think you could get a Fast Pass for the safari, stand by at Everest, and then grab a Dinosaur Fast Pass and do the safari, then ride Dinosaur, and be on your way to Magic Kingdom around dinner time. Yes, a lot of walking, but like you said, it's 4 parks in one day until a lot of walking goes into the territory. Just my thoughts about it. Love the show, gentlemen, and I just booked an impromptu trip for the second weekend soon that already happened to meet Matt and Len. So we enjoyed meeting you there, Brian.
Welcome back.
But the rest of his idea, what do you think, Scopa, with the rest of his idea? Swapping basically sounds like Epcot for Animal Kingdom.
So he's going to do Epcot before Animal Kingdom?
Yeah, so the order would be Epcot Studios, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom. I think the best way to answer this question, I think, Scopa, is just by saying that in our experience, we attempted it in our original plan, and I think it worked out pretty well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that, and I think all along we had a feeling that Epcot was going to be the problem park because we were going to get there early afternoon, and we were right. I mean, we knew that soaring was going to be an issue, but that's the thing. I think that it was either a case of being in Epcot and waiting in line in an air-conditioned attraction at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or this is the consideration that he needs to think about. Or if he switches it around and he's in the Animal Kingdom at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he may not be in an air-conditioned queue. That's the thing.
And it was hot that day. We were at the Animal Kingdom early on, and it was brutal. And this was back in May. I mean, 10 o'clock in the Animal Kingdom, it was tough. It was.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, Newell, we've come almost to the end of the show. I'm going to make you choose we have time for one last question. Why don't you choose it?
Please, one more.
Newell, here are the topics you can choose from. These are the subjects: deeper question, not so scary question, or Thanksgiving.
Not so scary.
The deeper one is intriguing, though.
This is philosophical.
No. Not so scary. Not so scary.
All right. Let's go with the deeper question for 200.
Next email comes from Jamie from Crowncast, who runs a great little business. Nah, he's a good guy. He helped me out. Shh. Jamie writes, Ahoy, Matt, Mike, and Len. Deeper question from a Disney veteran. I wanted to ask Mike Scopa a question about ADR since he mentioned it in reference to the free dining time. Our family had a wonderful time at the World this past year and years past during free dining, thanks to all of your help. The only issue that we had was when we started to go freestyle, the schedule early in the week, first time with hoppers, so we managed to consistently be in the wrong park for our ADRs. We would then optimistically hope that we could walk in for a sit-down dinner and found ourselves wandering aimlessly around Epcot. It didn't help at all that when we told the Nine Dragons folks, but Len Tessa says this place is always empty. So in a knee-jerk reaction to this problem, we thought about a strategy for our next trip that is not during free dining. We thought set up all 2-credit dining events while not cost efficient, we would be looking at the entertainment and flexibility in the schedule. Is this just an overreaction in the last trip, or is this a viable strategy for the not sticking to the schedule folks?
It's a viable strategy. I think you have two options here when you're trying to do something like this. Number one, you're looking for openings at the restaurants that you wish to dine in. And once you get those openings and once you get those ADRs set, then those drive your touring plans. Or what you do is you take a look at, and this is what a lot of people do. I do this. I look at Extra Magic Hour mornings, Extra Magic Hour evenings, and I decide which parks I'm going to be in what mornings and which parks I'm going to be in what afternoons or evenings. And then based on that, I try to get my ADRs. And if that doesn't work, then the ADR availability will then drive the touring. But I think he's on the right track there. I think he understands, and it definitely is a gut reaction from his last trip. But I think it's a wise move to make.
Good point. The other thing is, Jamie, I understand with free dining, it's free dining. It's free. Obviously, it's hard to pass it up. I can understand that. But if you're going to pay for the dining plan in your next trip, which it sounds like you might be doing, Jamie, you might have to, like I told the other listener, maybe the dining plan isn't right for you. Maybe you shouldn't be on the dining plan. Maybe you should, you could go with that strategy, but not be on the dining plan. You know what? If it ends up being a case where you just can't get in anywhere, it's okay because you're paying cash. It's fine. Grab something quick to eat, and that'll be your dinner for the day. Or you might be able to get into a two-table service place. You'll pay cash anyway. It'll be better for you in the long run, really. Get better value out of it. And that might be a better option for you because you're paying cash, and it'll give you that flexibility there. So you may want to reevaluate the whole dining plan option as well, in addition to what Mike said. But I do like that strategy. Certainly the two dining service restaurants tend to be a little bit easier in terms of flexibility.
Right.
Jamie also has a philosophical question for Len and his Leninists. For the folks that are returning after a couple of years, is a 5 from 2004 on the crowd calendar the same as a 5 from 2008? How do you make adjustments year to year? It seems to be more crowded every time I go. So would a 5 average be compared to when we started the calendar? I can tell you Len's not here, but I'm pretty sure this is the answer to it. A 5 represents, if there's a 5 on the crowd calendar, that means at the Magic Kingdom, the peak wait time will be 50 minutes. And at a headliner attraction in the Magic Kingdom. So 50 minutes in 2004 should be 50 minutes in 2008, right?
Well, it should be, but what could have happened is there is a possibility that vacationing habits may have adjusted. So I would say, worst case scenario, it's either a 5.5 or a 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're trying to, basically, if a park was rated as a 5 back in 2004 and something's rated as a 5 in 2008, I would expect similar crowds. Yes, that would be my guess. Len can probably actually post a comment in this week's show notes over here for you, Jamie, and he can give you a better answer in case I screwed that up for him and totally drove away a lot of customers from him. Sorry, Len.
If he's alive.
I can't believe he went to Botswana again.
Yep.
Well,
and wearing that Brady shirt too, huh?
That does it for us today. And don't forget that this episode of Walt Disney World Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, the official travel agency of WDW Today. And they're a great service for you to be able to help you plan your next trip, help you make those tough Disney dining plan decisions about where to eat, when to eat. Is the dining plan right for me? They can really help you out on a personal basis. It's great even just for that. And, of course, it's free to you. It costs you the same amount as calling Disney directly, so it's a great service. Try them out. Visit them at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Silva, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.